In the headlines, court dismisses petition on suspension of Labour Party chairman Abure. Others as Apapa faction kicks against judgment. Former Petroleum Resources Minister Dizzani sues EFCC, AGF and demands 100 billion naira in damages for alleged libel. Indiscriminate drilling of borehole poses danger to residents of Kaduna State. And on the international scene, 15 mourners taking body for burial die in Cameroon road smash. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Thank you for joining us. Now the news in full. Now, respite finally came the way of the embattled Labour Party national chairman, Julius Abure, as an Edo High Court on Friday dismissed the notice of suspension issued against him by some members of his Ward 3 executives in Esan Northeast local government area of the state. Delivering his judgment, Justice Emmanuel Oke Aimahoje said that the party's ward executive in Ward 3 lacked the power under the LP Constitution, particularly Articles 17 and 19, and the Electoral Act 2022, as amended to remove the national chairman of the party. Justice Ahemoje held that the purported Ward 3 executive who suspended the national chairman of the party acted outside the powers vested on it by the party's constitution. The judge imposed an injunction against removing or suspending Abure as the national chairman until the national convention of the party was convened. Responding to the judgment, counsel to LP President Aigbo Khan described the judgment as a landmark decision that will stand the test of time. He said any decision taken on the void notice of suspension failed effortlessly. Meanwhile, the Lamidi Apapa faction of the Labour Party has kicked against the decision of an Edo State High Court presided over by Justice Emmanuel Oke Aimahoje, which reportedly restored Julius Abure as substantive national chairman of the party. During a press conference in Abuja, the National Publicity Secretary of Apapa faction, Abayomi Arabambi, said a matter pending before the Court of Appeal cannot be litigated by any lower court. Arabambi said the implication of the suspension of Abure by the National Executive Council of the party in Bauchi makes the Edo judgment a mere academic exercise, as NEC, which is the highest organ of the party, had already suspended Abure and his cohorts. Counsel to Apapa faction, Monday Mawa, while also reacting to the judgment, said the judgment does not set aside pending issues facing Abure which are yet to be resolved.
It is therefore shocking and a surprise, if not for a mockery to our judiciary structure, for a man, if Court of Appeal are recited in, what is the jubilation about an Edo State High Court that has also now said they are, returning Abure to office? It just marks, some form of responsibility on the part before a Court of Appeal cannot be discussed at any lower court again. So therefore, whatever judgment they are celebrating is just a mockery of the judicial sector, to which we are not going to join issue with them. But to at least set the record straight, because of what they have done, our lawyer today filed motion for stay of execution and also filed an appeal in the Court of Appeal, Benin City. So that at least we will not be able to put into proper perspective the kind of judgment that a judge will sit on top of a matter that is pending before Court of Appeal and which is quite aware. But even if my Lord is not aware, with due respect, we are saying it today that my Lord, that matter is pending before Court of Appeal Abuja, and therefore no junior court can sit over a matter pending before a superior court in our constitution, except otherwise Abure want to manufacture the constitution of Nigeria in line with Abure dynasty from Uromi, Edo State, Federal Republic of Nigeria, which I know it cannot stand the test of time. Thank you, gentlemen of the press, for this opportunity.
Ahead of the May 29 presidential inauguration, Nigerian women have urged President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu to enforce the national gender policy by allocating or allotting 35% of appointments in the public sector to women, as promised in his mandate. The Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Tallen, at an intercessory proclamation in Abuja, noted that the call came amid concerns about the underrepresentation of women in leadership positions and governance in Nigeria, with hopes that the incoming administration changes the narrative. The report.
The importance of gender mainstreaming in governance, role of women in socio-economic development, policy making, management and implementation, as well as constituting over 50% of the Nigerian population, are needed to contribute meaningfully to nation building. But these women groups who have gathered to pray for a peaceful transition of the president-elect say they are assured he would adhere to these principles and rule of law.
Women have paid their dues in Nigeria. I want Mr. President and the Vice President and all the incoming governors to ensure that they engage more women, both at the national, state and local government level. Engaging more women is the true renewed hope, is the only surest way to a peaceful and prosperous Nigeria.
Nigerian women, at least 35%, will be carried out on his administration. That is our expectations, that at least Nigerian women will be carried out in every program, in every activities, and also in government offices.
They noted that with the amount of women participation at the recently concluded 2023 general elections and preparedness for inclusion, women are more than ready to take on active roles in supporting the incoming administration for the greater good of the country.
We collectively came out, we casted our votes to ensure that we bring this administration.
We are much prepared. Women are so happy that at this very time, in this very new administration, incoming administration, the women folk are going to be more inclusive. Of course, women are very happy and they can't even wait for it to manifest.
Despite the country's adoption of the national gender policy and other international instruments, the 35% affirmative action has not been achieved, and women continue to be marginalized in politics and decision-making processes. Like every Nigerian, the women hope that the incoming administration will usher in greater women inclusion in governance. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The Imo State Police Command has placed its men on alert following allegations that the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, and its armed affiliate, Eastern Security Network, ESN, are planning to disrupt the inauguration of newly elected members of the Imo State House of Assembly. The command, in a statement by the Police Public Relations Officer, ASP Henry Okoye, said the Commissioner of Police, CP Muhammad Ahmed Barde, has ordered adequate deployment of the command's operatives to the entire state. The statement added the CP has mandated area commanders, divisional police officers, that's the DPOs, and tactical team commanders under his command and control to use all available assets in embarking on an intelligence-led patrol, round-the-clock visibility, policing and operation show of force while synergizing with other security agencies, and ensure that the operatives adopt the best professional ethics in delivering a modernized human rights compliance police service. He advised the public to disregard the misleading sit-at-home order or threats issued by the outlawed group and go about their lawful business without any form of fear or intimidation, as the command has emplaced adequate security measures that will guarantee the peaceful inauguration and transition of the newly elected legislators in the states. A former Petroleum Resources Minister, Dizani Alison Maduke, has sued the Attorney General of the Federation and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, for alleged libel. She is demanding 100 billion naira to be paid to her in damages, according to a writ of summons filed on her behalf at the Federal High Court, Abuja, by her team of lawyers led by Mike Uzehome San. A copy of the writ of summons on Friday night directed the defendants jointly and severally to pay to the claimants the sum of 100 billion naira as damages for the false, injurious, malicious and libelous publications against the claimants in the first defendant's published platform and at the instance of both the first and the second defendant. In the writ of summons dated May 26, 2023, the former minister is also demanding that the EFCC and AGF apologize to her in 3 national dailies over what she described as the false, injurious, malicious and libelous publications against her since she left Nigeria in 2015. Both EFCC and the AGF were given 14 days from the service of the summons to enter their defense. The police in Ogun State have commenced a search for a 4-man armed robbery gang that escaped with $11 million in Abeokuta, the state capital. It was gathered that the armed robbers operated successfully on Friday at the Oke Sokori area of Abeokuta in the Abeokuta North local government area without being challenged by security operatives. All adorned on black t-shirts and jean trousers. They wore black face masks and brandished rifles in the 3-minute robbery. They were said to have fled the scene with their targeted money stacked in 2 Ghana must-go bags after dispossessing a trader of his Toyota Venza Salon car. The police public relations officer in the state, Abimbola Oyeyemi, who confirmed the incident on Saturday, described it as unfortunate. Meanwhile, 12 suspected criminals have been arrested in Gombe over alleged offences bordering on conspiracy, forgery, rape, armed robbery and housebreaking. Parading the suspects at the headquarters of the Gombe State Police Command on Friday, Assistant Superintendent of Police Sharif Saad said the suspects were arrested by the police patrol team after receiving reports from members of some residents. Ibrahim Ismail
These suspects
reports.
are alleged to be involved in criminal conspiracy, forgery, armed robbery, rape and housebreaking respectively. Habu Muhammad Kabir and Ilya Amos are alleged to have forged identification card, receipt and stamp of Gombe State Internal Revenue. Habu Muhammad allegedly pretended to be a staff of Gombe State Internal Revenue Service and defrauded 2 people.
And on the 20th of May 2021, Habu Muhammad Kabir went to Hajj orientation camp at Gombe at Government Arabic Teachers College, Gombe, and presented himself to the staff and intended pilgrims as staff of the Internal Revenue Service deployed to collect revenue from intending pilgrims. Upon receipt of the complaint, detectives from Gombe Division swung into action and succeeded in arresting the suspect. During interrogation, the suspect, Habu Muhammad, confessed to have forged the agency's ID card, receipts and stamp and collected the sum of 30,000 naira from 2 suspects, that is 15,000 naira each, for registration.
The Gombe State Internal Revenue Service battles impersonation coupled with other impediments against its operations.
We have been encountering a lot of challenges in this domestic revenue mobilization. We have a lot of frustrations by members of the public who try as much as possible to bring about leakages, and one of these very areas of leakages is this area of fake receipting, impersonation and the likes of them.
The prime suspect of impersonation has confessed to the crime. I have regretted my actions, and when I am released, I will help the police to track down all impersonators in the name of the Gombe Internal Revenue. The command recovered cutlass, phones and a laptop from the suspected armed robbers who are terrorizing the state capital. All suspects will be arraigned in court as soon as the police conclude investigation. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Gombe.
You're watching News Update on Trust TV. Coming up, we'll take a look at how sexually explicit materials generate ripples. Details on this and more after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is News Update on Trust TV. And here is a recap of our top stories. Rebochu Court dismisses petition on suspension of Labour Party chairman Abure others as a Apapa faction kicks against judgment. And former Petroleum Resources Minister Dizani sues EFCC, AGF and demands 100 billion naira in damages for alleged libel. Now moving on to more stories. Indiscriminate drilling of boreholes without proper regulations is not common in Kaduna State. Many express fear, if not checked, may lead to earth tremor, environmental hazard, and other health challenges on human lives. The question often asked by the people concerned is whether the drilling activities is left without regulations. In this report, Trust TV's Bello Musa examines the negative effects of indiscriminate drilling of boreholes on the environment and its social and economic implications. His report.
Borehole has become source of potable drinking water for many households in both rural and urban areas.
Drilling of borehole is rampant in everywhere. Almost every other household acquire borehole because people don't have any other option in trying to, get a good and hygiene water.
But experts say rampant drilling of boreholes without study poses danger to the environment.
Excessive exploitation of water can result to a lot of things. One, it can cause tremor, and solid rocks are being on daily basis drilled. It weakens the subsurface structures.
For an individual who wants to drill a borehole in his house, he needs to come and apply for a permit from us. So we have to go and look at the site he wants to drill the borehole and ensure that the site is appropriate and is according to the regulations that are approved in the commission.
This well has been in existence for over 60 years. It has been a source of water supply to the community. The well is drying up now. The households are attributing it to rampant sinking of boreholes. The well is always filled up with water in both rainy and dry season. But with many boreholes around, it is drying up.
Now the wells are drying up because the boreholes development or the boreholes drilling are so rampant. Within 500 meters you can have 10 boreholes. So how do you expect water from a nearby holes to exist?
Kaduna State Water Services Regulatory Commission, saddled with the responsibility of water regulations in the state, says penalties are imposed for indiscriminate drilling of boreholes to address environmental hazards associated with it.
We normally get a report that some people are drilling borehole on the roads. Some people drill boreholes on roads. We go assess it, we warn them because regulation with the water sector is a new thing in the country. So you need to carry the people along, and we tell them the implications of doing that and so on. But if a guy insists, that's why we approached the Chief Judge of Kaduna State. We visited the judiciary in Kaduna twice, and we're lucky the current Chief Judge has already assigned a magistrate court for us.
Those you call quacks, we co-opt them, retrain them very well so that they will know what the business is all about.
In the past, people drill about 40 meters to get water, and now people drill all to 180 meters and above to get water. Expert warns that if nothing is done to improve the public water supply and arrest the situation, Kaduna State may experience terrible environmental hazard in the future. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
The Muslim Students Society of Nigeria has called on the federal government to ban primary and secondary school textbooks with sexually explicit material. In its letter to the Federal Ministry of Education, the society warns that sexually explicit material could corrupt the minds of children. Hamid Oyegbade files the report.
The Amir of the Muslim Student Society of Nigeria, B-Zone Kozim Odedeji, said some textbooks meant for children in primary and secondary schools contained sexually explicit materials. Odedeji said some of the textbooks promote abortion, masturbation, and immoral sexual behaviors.
There are things that are better left for the parents and the religious leaders to handle. So there are things that can unnecessarily sexualize our children. So issues bordering on abortion, issues bordering on safe sex, and some other things, lewd things like that. So we believe these children they are too young to be exposed to this kind of information.
Some parents in Osun State agreed with MSSN, saying that sex education should be left for parents to handle at home rather than the school.
And in Islam, it is totally, abhorred that such subject should be made public discussion, even among the elderly, not to talk of children who do not know, anything yet. So to create such a impression in young minds like that is very, very deplorable.
Sex education should be taught at home, not in the school. The parents know the level of their children, because teaching them in the school, we make them to expose to some of these bad things.
When they taught the students in the class, the students may like to practicalize what they were taught in the class, so that after the school hour they may find somewhere to practicalize what they have been taught in the class, which can cause harmful to the children. So it should be left for the parents, not that it should be taught in the school.
The MSSN said inclusion of sexually explicit materials in the textbooks is a threat to morality of the children and an attack on cultural and religious values.
The first thing we want is that all these books that contain all these materials should be recalled from the market. So we want them to be recalled from the market so that they will not be in use again. So, and at the same time, we want the curriculum to be reviewed so all those contents will not be necessary again. So, and we want the abolition of sexual education in our schools, in our primary and secondary schools.
The society is worried about the declining discipline, examination malpractices, and immorality, among other vices. Hamid Oyegbade, Trust TV News, Osogbo.
President Muhammadu Buhari has inaugurated some modern aircraft equipment as part of the over 40 projects executed at the Nigerian College of Aviation Technology, NCAT, Nigeria. President Buhari, who inaugurated the project virtually, said the projects were to strengthen the efficiency and security of the nation's aviation sector. He said the government under his watch has constructed 3 airport terminals, which aided over 40 million passengers' capacity to Nigerian airports. The president stated that his administration has focused on the Nigerian College of Aviation Technology to further transform the college and make it an international civil aviation organization, center, of course, of excellence for Africa. He noted that the projects inaugurated were critical to the development of the aviation sector and expressed optimism that the incoming administration will do more by sustaining the tempo. Projects inaugurated at the college included an ultra-modern auditorium complex, automated fire and smoke aircraft training simulator. Others are Boeing 737 flight simulator building and Boeing 737 full flight simulator integrated procedural trainer, among others. And on the international scene, 15 people in Cameroon taking the body of a loved one for burial died on Friday when their minibus was involved in a crash with a lorry. According to the Transport Minister, Jean Ernest Bibehe, the lorry's driver also died in the accident and 3 people in the minibus were injured. The crash happened in the industrial city of Edia, about 80 kilometers east of the country's economic capital, Douala. Cameroon has among the highest proportion of road deaths in Africa, according to the latest available figures from the World Health Organization. Earlier this month, 15 people died when a bus plunged off the road in eastern Cameroon. And with that, we've come to the end of Trust TV News Update. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Thanks for watching.